This video is going to review how to use the quadratic formula to solve quadratic equations, because as we go into our lesson further today in solving quadratic word problems, we're going to want to be comfortable and familiar using the quadratic formula. So as a review or a reminder, your quadratic formula is x equals the opposite of b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and that's all over 2a. That's the discriminant. We'll always find that first. And that opposite of b over 2a, you should now be familiar with. That's how you find your vertex. So the explanation of the quadratic formula is how far away, plus or minus, are my x-intercepts from my vertex. So let's remind ourselves how to use it. Remember, we have an a b, and a c value, and we cannot solve unless it's equal to 0. So first up is going to be our quadratic formula. So we'll start with b squared minus 4ac, our discriminant. So this is going to be 9 squared minus 4 times 6 times a negative 17. And we will use a calculator to solve. So 9 squared minus 4 times 6 times a negative 17. That's 489. And remember, that's positive, so we have two real solutions. We'll know we'll get two answers from this. So let's go to our quadratic formula. We know we'll have, that was silly, this template here. And I put my equal sign too far over. Equals. So we want to find the opposite of b. So the opposite of a positive 9 is a negative 9. Plus and minus our square root, which is our discriminant, so 489, all over 2a, and our a value is 6. So seconds. So when I take the square root of 489, so second square root of 489, that's not what I want, gosh, 489, I get a decimal, which tells me that 489 is not perfect. So I'm going to type this all into my calculator at one time. Remember, we're going to get two options. We have the plus option when we add the square root, and we have the subtraction option. I'm going to type this all in my calculator at one point because the directions say round to the nearest tenth, and we want to be familiar with getting that decimal answer. So I'm going to go to alpha. Let's clear this out. Alpha y equals, I'm going to use my numerator and denominator, negative 9 plus the square root of 49 all over, I'm going to say 12. I'm just going to multiply that out. So I'm going to have 1.09 as an option. I'm going to scroll back up. And I'm going to subtract, and I'm going to have, well, it says nearest tenth, so this should really be 1.1. And nearest tenth, this should be a negative 2.6. Okay, so those are your two answers. Those are your two x-intercepts. Because remember, when we solve quadratic equations, we're finding an x-intercept. Go ahead and finish this page front and back as much as you need to be familiar or comfortable with that quadratic formula, and check the key on the blog.